Welcome to Calculus 2 AI and CAS component. Today we'll be diving into the third lecture in this series on comparing outputs from LLMs and analyzing responses. This lecture aims to provide insights into how we can effectively edit and compare outputs from different large language models. In this lecture, we will cover how to check the response of a model for accuracy, reasoning ability, and usefulness. Specifically, we'll explore the criteria for evaluating the quality of responses generated by LLMs. Also, we will cover how to compare responses across different models. We'll discuss methods for comparing outputs from various models to determine which one performs best in different scenarios. So here's the setup for today's lecture. A primary purpose of the user is to be an editor for the large language model. To this end, we developed the following simple experiment. We will ask several models a math question. We'll pose the same question to multiple models to see how each responds. Then we will analyze each of their responses. In particular, we will check for correctness, reasoning ability, and usefulness. We'll evaluate each response based on these criteria. Then we will compare the responses against each other to see which one performs best overall. So here are the models we will be comparing today. The first is Claude 3 Sonnet. This is known for its balanced reasoning abilities, and it excels in providing logical and coherent responses. The second is ChatGPT 4o. ChatGPT 4o is capable of processing text, audio, and video, and it is quite a versatile model. Lastly, we will be looking at Grok, which is a newer model designed to offer a unique user experience. Grok aims to provide innovative and engaging responses. So how will we compare these models? Well, we will evaluate the models based on accuracy. So does the model answer the question correctly? And if we will check if the response is factually correct and aligns with the expected solution. Does the model have sound reasoning? So does it come to its answer correctly? We'll assess the logical flow and coherence of its reasoning process. Lastly, does the model provide a response that's actually useful? We'll determine if that response is practical and helpful. So the question we'll be asking these models today is to determine the interval of the convergence of this series here. All right, so let's start the experiment. So the next few slides will be the responses of each of the models to my question. So when I go to each slide, I'll pause for 10 or so seconds, and I'd like you to pause the video and read through each of the statements. See if you can find any incorrections or anything like that. Here's the response from Claude 3. Next, we have the response from Grok. And finally, the response from ChatGPT. This is the second slide of the response from ChatGPT. Okay, so hopefully you took some time to read each of the responses. To determine how well each model is performing, we need to solve the problem ourselves first, right? So in a real-life situation, large language models should only be used to provide assistance or reinforcement. We don't know if they're always going to be correct. In fact, a lot of times they're incorrect. To critique the response of the model, we have to solve the problem on our own first. So conveniently for everybody watching, I've done that on the right. Let's walk through it briefly. So a common way to find the interval of this series would be to apply the ratio test. And we find that this limit, as n goes to infinity of the ratio, is the absolute value of x minus 3 over 9. The ratio test says that the series converges absolutely whenever L is less than 1. or whenever the absolute value of x minus 3 over 9 is less than 1. So solving this inequality, we have negative 6 is less than x is less than 12. Now we check both of the endpoints. We find that at x equals negative 6, the series diverges, and at x equals 12, the series converges by the alternating series test. Therefore, the interval of convergence is negative 6 to 12, including 12, excluding negative 6. Okay, great. So we have a solution. We sort of know how this thing should go, and we can check each of the model's responses for accuracy. Let's move to the first model. So this is the Claude 3 model. Okay, so it looks like the Claude 3 model started out pretty good. Most of this follows what we did, actually. However, if you notice in its final conclusions, it has this sort of same conclusion here, that the series converges absolutely if the absolute value of x minus 3 over 9 is less than 1. This means that, right, the absolute value of x minus 3 is less than 9, but this is very incorrect. It did some math wrong here, right? So this should be a negative 6 and this should be a 12. Or this should be a negative 6 and this should be a 12. Right, something's wrong here, either way. So this comes to the wrong answer. In particular, this model also did not check the endpoints, right? So there's some incompleteness here. And lastly, all of this stuff, so I told you that this was the absolute value of x minus 3 over 9 because I know how to read this particular code. This code is used in something called LaTeX. But to you, you might not know how to read it. This is useful over here on the left, but on the right, this might not be very useful. Okay, so let's give this thing a grade here. Okay, let's score this thing. So to me, I think that for accuracy, this model gets a D, right? It was not really anywhere near the right answer. It made some very easy math errors in the last bit of its solution. As far as the reasoning goes, it was pretty good up until the end. In particular, the main thing I think I'm going to knock this thing on for reasoning is that it did not check the endpoints, which is very important. And usefulness, was it useful? I'd say it was pretty useful in the sense that everything that it did is something that we've seen before. So it's information that's actionable. Okay, so overall, I think I'll give accuracy a D, reasoning a C, usefulness maybe a B+. Okay, let's move on to Grok. So if you looked at Grok, what I noticed in Grok's response was several minor errors, okay? The first one occurs over here. You see there's I don't know if you can see my mouse, but on the left side, on the left arrow, I have a 9 in the numerator and a 9 in the denominator. And if that's true, then those should cancel, and I should have no 9s on the right side of that equality, but that's not true. There should be something's not quite right here. The thing on the right side is actually correct, but the thing in the middle is not. Okay, so that's a minor error. It ends up fixing it. And then these next two arrows on the right side, well, the first arrow handles the power of -1 incorrectly to come up with an alternating series. So it sort of drops the power of -1 and therefore comes to the wrong conclusion that says this is an alternating series. Now in the second arrow on the right side, it gets the right thing on the inside, but it says it's not alternating, but it's clearly alternating, right? It's -1 to the n. So this is also incorrect. And therefore it gets to the wrong answer. It's very close to the right answer, but not quite the right one. Okay, so let's give this thing a grade as well. So for me, I think the accuracy was a B minus, right? It got -6 and 12. It did not get the right brackets. It included -6 and excluded 12. In particular, I think the reasoning, I think was mostly sound, but it made a lot of minor errors. And I think for all those minor errors along the way, we're going to give it a C. But usefulness, it was an A. I think pretty much everything that you saw used things that we know, uses standard techniques. It came to maybe sort of some wrong conclusions, but overall, it's something that's incredibly useful to you. Okay, last one is ChatGPT. So the main thing I noticed about this response, it's in this slide right here. So it says to determine the radius from convergence, we use the root test or the ratio test. The root test states that R equals 1 over lim sup, the absolute value of a sub n to the 1 over n. I don't think anybody in calculus really knows what lim sup is. So lim sup is it's not really something that shows up in calculus, and I may be wrong. But in general, in most calculus courses, lim sup does not show up. And similarly, on the right side, we have something called lim imp. I'm not going to bother you with the definitions of either of these, but this is certainly not what we think of as the root test when we do calculus 2. And for most calculus 2 students, they don't know what to think of it. They don't know how to read this. So it's not helpful. Now, it seems though, as we get through this solution, we still are ending up with some of the same numbers. Like on the bottom right here, we see that the center is 3 and the radius is 9, so that we have -6 and 12. So whatever this thing did was apparently somehow equivalent. Okay, let's look at the next slide. Yes. So it looks like it makes one mistake, and that is simplifying the first when x equals -6. So it sort of drops a -1 on accident. So it makes a similar mistake to what Grok made. But for x equals 12, it does fine. So at the end, we come to an answer that's close to correct, still not correct. But most importantly, we don't really know how we got there. We don't really know what it was trying to do with this lim sup stuff. Okay, so for ChatGPT, I'm going to say its accuracy is a B. That's pretty good. It was, very close to the right answer. And its reasoning was also very good. I think it only made one mistake. So the big issue here though is the usefulness. So when we read, if we go back, these two slides are really not useful for a Calc 2 student. In particular, we don't know what lim sup is or what lim imp is. So while we got to the correct solution, it didn't actually help us in any way. So if I was trying to solve this problem and I wanted to use ChatGPT to solve it, I wouldn't really be any better off. Okay, so let's move on. Let's compare these responses. So none of the models produced a response that was 100% accurate. Keep that in mind. And we know that large language models cannot be relied upon for their accuracy. All of the models had at least one error in the reasoning process. So not just in the final answer, but in the reasoning itself. The Claude model started strong, but it couldn't bring it home. The Grok model was good, but had multiple minor errors. And the ChatGPT model was the most accurate, but it wasn't very useful at all. So was there a winner? We are going to pick Grok. And the reason we're going to pick Grok was because it had multiple minor errors, but all the way through, it did all of the steps. And if you can correct all of the steps, it was generally the most useful response. ChatGPT was very useful, and Claude left out some critical parts. So take a minute, pause the video, and think for yourself how you would rank these models. Who would you put at the top? Okay, let's reflect a little. No model was perfect, but different models excelled in different areas. ChatGPT, for instance, was fairly accurate, but Grok sort of had the best, most thorough explanation. The ranking of your responses most likely relates to how you use the LLM. So there's a little bit of subjectivity in rankings, right? However, we do see that LLMs, this reinforces the idea that they are not replacements for our own problem solving. Moreover, once we develop our own abilities, they can be useful supplementary tools. So you should ask yourself, again, how would you have ranked the responses? And in particular, how could we have changed the prompt for better results? So we saw that ChatGPT had a close to accurate response and pretty good reasoning, but it wasn't very useful. Is there a way that we could have adjusted the prompt so that its response was more useful for a Calculus 2 student? And each of these models made mistakes. So how would you get the model to fix its mistakes? Could you ask it to adjust something or point it out to it? Think about how you would do that. Okay, now you should do the following. Practice being an editor. Ask math questions to your favorite LLM. Solve the problem on your own, and then analyze its response similarly to how we did here. Now do the same for another LLM. Compare their responses. Which do you think was better? What criteria are you analyzing these responses by? Whenever you're ready, you can start the corresponding assignment.